This is a love poem I wrote a couple of years ago. It's called Love Is. Love is the blank space in a magician's hand. It used to be a red ball, maybe a coin, the queen of spades, a dove so disoriented by fingers, it flew towards the sun, only to be eaten by a hawk. I also like dogs too, not just birds.
You like my dogs.
I like every dog. This is called The Wait. I watched two dogs play in the sun. They tumble and playfully show teeth. As my heart beats heavy in my ears, I remember. Last night the horizon rested above my rib cage. The sky blue hospital gown draped over my naked body. Sorry for that picture. The way of 1,000 eyes. She was a lesser known character in my dream. Everything happens for a reason, she said, as she shoved the knife in my back. When I finally awoke, it hurt something like a heart attack. I count my steps to and from work, read street signs for secrets. I smoke cigarettes waiting. I write poems waiting. I make love while I wait. A beautiful woman smiles at me and the weight of the world lifts for at least a few moments. I watch one of the dogs lick its balls and fall asleep in the sun, and I'm so fucking jealous. I want to be able to do that, but instead I was born with opposable thumbs and the ability to reason. If life is a trade-off, maybe in the next one I'll be able to reach my asshole with my tongue.
Yeah!
This is called The Study of Pigeons. I wrote this when I was doing a reading in Hartford, Connecticut. Aisha sat on the ledge and bummed the smoke from me. Taut chin poking in and out like pigeons strutting. Her half smile, corridors cut by crack, lips blistered like pictures of venereal diseases on free clinic walls. Sits on walkways. Her remaining teeth are tall buildings that laugh. Early mornings ring tiny bird coos, delayed so they sound like her baby abandoned calling her back. Sunlight metallurgy, the spark that creates a weld that locks her cage. A recent study proved that pigeons are smarter than the average 3-year-old. I wonder how old those fucking pigeons are. And are they the same ones that pick Aisha's afro in front of the buttonwood tree when she finally does fall asleep? Or are they the ones that flew in the war with messages tied to their leg and purple hearts pinned to their bloated pigeon chests? You good at poetry, Aisha asked. I felt ashamed to be good at anything at that moment. I was ashamed that I ate that day, and I could eat later if I wanted to. Ashamed I was white, wore deodorant, my socks matched, and I had a place to sleep. Ashamed I never had to get on my knees between dumpsters to forget I was human. Ashamed I couldn't give her a big fat rock so she could inhale the blues and blow out 5 minutes of hope. No, I'm not very good at poetry. And just so you all know, when I step away from the mic, that means I'm done. Alright. This one's called Holding My End. I just wanted to get home, the warm bed, the footless bird, the cat, the ant farm, the crumpled clothes like origami across the carpet. I was getting too comfortable, and that's when the sirens beckoned me. Not the gold-throated nymphs in the Odyssey, but an androgynous cop perched behind the wheel of a killing machine. I was getting pulled over, and being on probation, jail is always one mistake away. At first you don't believe it's happening, like a nightmare. Like a nightmare that you believe is real. Well, it's the opposite of that. You can't wake up from real life. Consciousness is never an escape for anything except for death. When a man realizes that this may be his last few minutes of freedom, his thought process... Jesus, maybe I drank a couple, 2 more beers.
2 more? You want 2 more?
No, watch. His thought process changes to that of an animal. I thought about opening the car door and running through backyards until I hit the Rocky Mountains, where I'd live off the land, sneak into town for supplies, and maybe hitch a ride to Grand Rapids, Michigan, throw pebbles at your window, only to say I love you, and vanish back into the small intestine of America. But then I thought of my bad leg. You guys are so my complexion remained calm. My inner beauty asked for a razor blade to drain the blood from this body. I lit my last cigarette as a last resort while still wearing my seatbelt for safety, because that's what they say you gotta do. And I made a deal with God because He likes seatbelts too. This is my prayer, so be quiet. Dear God, please let me sleep in my own bed tonight, and in return, I promise to talk you up in one of my poems. So here it is. How much more time do I have?
2 minutes.
Are you talking to God? You want to know how many days?
God's the bartender.
You keep making me laugh like that, and you can stay here all day.
I'll see what I can do. Alright, this one's called Bamboo Plant. I gave her lingerie and expensive perfume Valentine's Day a few years ago. She gave me a $5 bamboo plant from Rite Aid. I put it in the window until she left me for someone new. Now it sits on my bookcase away from the sun. It hasn't grown any, but it hasn't turned yellow either. I don't know where she is anymore, but I still water it every month or so, just because it refuses to die. I have a couple good ones in here. Alright, I like this one. This is called Alone in a Vietnamese Restaurant. And I don't want to offend anybody.
Okay. Then don't do that.
Most men are content with being mediocre. They attract mediocre women and have mediocre children that score mediocre in school. They dance at weddings, have a favorite football team whose jersey they wear around the house on Sunday. They go shopping on Saturday. Their cars are above mediocre though. They're so fucking proud of their car. Their car scored above average in 3 of 5 categories in Car and Driver magazine. They wax them before they go shopping on Saturday. I'm not saying I'm any better because, baby, I'm not. I dress like a blind man. I fall asleep at 3 in the afternoon. I fall in love with women I've never met and miss every woman I've slept with more than once. When I was 21, I convinced myself I was Jesus. Except for the sad blue eyes and the songwriting skills of Kurt Cobain. But today I ate alone in a Vietnamese restaurant where a baby cried and I watched the wind blow trash down the sidewalk. Another time I fancy myself a genius. Everything is moved by pistons and rods. A robot bleeds in the parking lot as the car leaks oil. A river runs through the uterus of a lion, and the sun really doesn't have a soulmate. The sky really isn't blue, it's the color of blood, and the moon is just a pitiful excuse for a light. Some men build bridges, others live under them, and some jump off. Jesus was good looking because people wouldn't worship an ugly person. But now I realize I'm nothing more than a honey fox, terrified and cunning, running away while you believe every fucking word that I just said. I'm going to read 2 more, is that cool? Yeah. I want to read this one because this chick really hated me and she thought she should send me an email about my body. It's called Call Me. Hardung, your writing isn't terribly original. In fact, it's ridiculously predictable. It's riddled with self-loathing, but your ego is huge. Speaking of huge, your dick isn't as big as everyone says. It just looks big because your abdomen's so small.
That's a good one.
Alright. I bet you got called hard on most of your life. And speaking of hard-ons, why do you always write about drugs? And what is your trick? And speaking of tricks, why haven't you asked for my number yet? Hard-on, your nose is so big. You talk like you're always stoned. You never check the oil in your car. You never rhyme about love and hips and what you do to my hips. You never pay attention when I'm trying to get your attention. You never give your quarters to Jerry's kids. You listen to too many bands with big beards, and for fuck's sakes, learn how to use a fucking semicolon. Jason, please call me. I'm going to read one more so we can get everyone out of here. This one's halfway serious. It's called Letter to Self.
Halfway.
While you count insects tap dancing across the ceiling, while your automobile smokes, sputters, and dies, while you eat mustard sandwiches and potatoes 6 days a week, while you get up at 6 a.m. to work the grocery stores, to serve the overfed, roaming the aisles like cattle, shuffling from shoot to slaughter. They feed while you atrophy, while you fight, fuck, bleed, grind the gears, fight the storm, pull the sails and break the bow. Curse the gods, curse your own fucking ancestors. While you wake up in jail, the emergency room, in dew-covered grass. While you face another sun in your translucent body and face the darkness where your heartbeat keeps you awake with its bell-like demeanor. And your past is a million parasites coming to devour you from the inside out. While your boss, an average man with an average life, screams at you for a box of nutty bars going stale.
Yeah.
You don't hit that motherfucker. You take it at $10 an hour only because rent is due and it's winter outside. Remember, the only thing that's killed you so far, not the drugs, not the car crashes, the flood of '85, not the women and the men married to them. Remember, death has the patience of a child, runs from the arms from it. Just keep running, don't stop, don't look back, don't explain yourself. Remember how to lift your wings when the wolves come call. Remember your eyes as a child, when you could still make your parents proud someday. Work to keep a levity about yourself. Remember that everything that has ever happened to you will lead to the place you saw yourself when you dream. So climb back inside your head, put your words to paper, and know it's all you fucking got. Thanks for everyone coming out. I appreciate it.